Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of November 27th through December 3rd of 2023. Alright, so this week we have a full moon right at the beginning of the week in Sidereal Taurus. If you're expecting me to say a different sign just then, be sure to check out the link down below for more information on using the visible sky called True Sidereal Astrology. But yeah, full moon in Taurus, the bull. We've had the sun enter Scorpio recently, and so it is great to be really getting into the deeper dimensions of life. But Taurus is the counterbalance to that, which is the reminder to connect to the more natural energies of life, which is our inner nature, our self-reliance, our resourcefulness, but also connecting to outer abundance, outer natural world is also great with this full moon. So doing a bit of a status check with that early in the week, maybe some shifts and changes that we can do in our life in order to facilitate and further develop that resourceful Taurus energy. So in terms of the aspects, we have Mercury squaring up to Neptune on Monday as well. So our minds might be going into the ethers here a little bit. And so channeling that constructively through things like maybe spiritual activities or imagination or intuitions that really grounds that more etheric energy of Neptune. Mercury will go into more expansive Sagittarius midweek. He's going to pass over the galactic center early in the week. And so there is definitely a transformation to our minds, to our perspectives, and very likely also in regards to our communications as well. So after that transformation, probably about mid-week there, we should start to feel more of the open mind, more of the post-transformation when it comes to our view of life and, again, how we think about things in general. And then the week ends with Venus squaring up to Pluto, and so there could be some depth coming through in terms of our relationships and in terms of our values that we can work with constructively. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, November 27th. And as I said earlier, we are using the visible sky, which is very different. The sign placements will change if you're new to this channel. So definitely check out the link down below if you are new. But yeah, let's go ahead and do a bit of a recap here and see where everything is coming into the week so that we can get some context of how things will be shifting and what important events we have. So we do have the Sun and Mars who have recently entered deep Scorpio last week, and so the focus has shifted, and I think it's great to continue to focus on those deeper dimensions of life. Scorpio is all about excavating, bringing the hidden, the secret, the under the rug to the surface, and this can of course be in our personal lives, such as through our own deep part of ourselves, being more aware of our own deep needs and also unconscious drives, and also, what really matters to us at the end of the day. And also, of course, in life in general, a good time for research, the occult, the esoteric, all these things that are normally hidden, bringing those to the surface. So a lot of focus on that with the sun, a lot of drive certainly available for that with Mars. And Mercury is finishing that Ophiuchus. In fact, we'll be over the galactic center this whole early part of the week. The galactic center is a very transformative part of the sky. We could say the deepest part of the sky, as it is the very late part of Ophiuchus there, of this 8th house deeper energy. And so noticing that our minds are going through a transformation, a sort of death and rebirth here this early part of the week. So being non-attached to the mind, to thoughts, to our perspective. The galactic center operates very similarly to Pluto, for those of you who are familiar with that energy. And so allowing for this sort of ego death when it comes to the more mental view of things can facilitate the rebirth, because the galactic center is the transformation point in the sky. It is where the death and rebirth happens. And so being willing to do that and doing this consciously really helps facilitate the process. But again, nothing too major. We have this every year, the sun and the fast movers passing over this part of the sky. And so it is just that time of the year to start to allow for that transformative energy. And and then we'll talk about Mercury going into Sag around Wednesday. But Venus is also still taking her time in Virgo because of her retrograde and her slower movement here recently. So valuing and enjoying the more improvement orientations of life. And so it's still a good time for things like enjoying work, enjoying service, enjoying personal development, anything that is about connecting to the more improvement-oriented side of things. And maybe in those relationships, as well as Venus does symbolize that, how we're connecting with others can certainly be in that more refined or improvement-oriented way. And again, doing that constructively can be really good, because Venus is not very strong here in Virgo, not her favorite place to be. And so it does require a little bit more of that conscious intention to healthfully connect in this improvement-oriented way. All right, so that's the energies coming into the week. But like I said, right at the beginning of the week on Monday, we have the full moon. And so it's going to be in Taurus, which is the counterbalance to that deep Scorpio energy. So while it is that time of excavation, now at the full moon and the days surrounding Monday, it's great to do this status check with how are the deeper dimensions, but more specifically, it's while we're going through this deeper world at the moment, how can we become aware of the more natural values of life, right? Because there's deeper values and there's things that are important to us on a deeper level, but there's also the natural world, which includes not only nature, but also, the physical world, even resources, even money, this sort of more tangible values of life. Of course, not just the, financial side of it, it's really the natural values. So food, all forms of abundances, the sensual life, the comfortable life, the natural beauties of life. Really good time to connect to this. But fundamentally, Taurus helps us connect to our inner resources. And so really good time to do a status check on how can we now, for the remainder of the lunar cycle, cultivate more of the inner groundedness, inner resources. And this can be things like our self-worth, our self-value, our natural talents, our abilities, our self-efficacy, the belief in ourself. What are our inner resources, and how can we do a status check with them, see how they are, and how can we cultivate them, work with them now for the next 2 weeks as we continue this lunar cycle. And that more connection to our resources, inner and outer resources, is what will ground a lot of the deeper energy, is really what the deeper energy needs, right? Because in order to connect deeply in life, we have to be grounded. And in order to do healing and transformation, we have to be connected to our self-worth and self-value. And in order to connect to the deeper values of life, we have to really connect to the natural values, right? And so it is a great time for bringing that opposition or that polarity into a state of somewhat balance here. And this full moon will be in a T-square with Mars and Saturn. So it is going to be opposite Mars, of course, because Mars is close to the sun, but Mars has been squaring Saturn lately. So as a part of this early part of the week, as a part of the status check, I think it's a great time to take time with things, right? Because Mars is the part of ourselves that wants things now, and there is a lot of this kind of sort of initiating energy at the moment. But with the square to Saturn, Saturn reminds us that the best things in life come through time and patience and perseverance. And so we've already had this contact, so it's going to be a little bit easier. Mars has already squared Saturn, but the full moon is a reminder to take things one step at a time there and look at the long road with all these, whatever the shifts and changes will be around the full moon for us. All right, so that's the Monday time period there, along with Mercury squaring Neptune. So we've got Mercury, the planet of, again, our minds, going into the ethers a bit with this one. And all squares do tend towards the extremes of the planet. So in this case with Neptune, we could have a bit of a wandering mind. We could get caught up into some dreams or ideals. We may, on the other hand, on the lower side, the underemphasis of it, maybe feel malaise or lower energy mentally and stuff like this. And so it's a good time to see that it's a good time to integrate the mental mind or the ego mind with the spiritual mind or the soul. So to combine this, the mind and the soul, or the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. And so anything that is about reconnecting with our soul, reconnecting to our unconscious in a constructive way. And so a great time for spiritual activities, a great time for channeling imagination or intuition, a great time of using that, wandering mind through maybe creativity and just, kind of connecting to the ethers there, but constructively. And then it becomes a very healthy way of manifesting this. And and it can be a very constructive time for all things that do anchor down or ground or make sense of the spiritual, the etheric, the unconscious, types of energies of life. And with the awareness of the extremes, that can help us sort of prevent us from going to the extremes of over, too much Neptune or not enough in this case. All right, so that's the Monday time period, of course, again, with that full moon in Taurus. Then Tuesday, the moon will still be in Taurus. And so, again, still this whole early part of the week, good for cultivating that more grounding inner and outer resources aspects of our life. Wednesday, the moon will shift into Gemini. And then, as we said, Mercury will start to go into Sagittarius. And so Gemini is Mercury's sign. And so for basically these 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, it does place a theme around things like using our minds and learning and communication. At least it's a good time to cultivate that. So how can we implement the full moon energy, but in this case, Wednesday and Thursday, on gaining and sharing information, just gaining and sharing in general. Gemini is a good time of connecting with our peers, or neighbors, or siblings if we have any. Basically people of equal status that we can exchange with, whether it's information, whether it's just some trading, whether it's just being open-minded and being open to exchanging in general, is a great time to do this. And if it's not more social like that, because Gemini is not necessarily social like that, it could be picking up that book, doing some reading, maybe doing some writing, things like that. But again, when it comes to the mental capacities, it is good to allow for a bit of that ego death, as we said. But by this point, once we do get to basically Thursday, Mercury will definitely have passed over the galactic center. And I think we'll notice more of that post-transformation, the post-deeper mind, and probably starting to slowly feel a little bit more of the expansive mind that comes out of that. So as we get to Thursday onwards, Mercury in Sagittarius is a great time to access more of our right brain and to see the more theoretical, the perceptual elements of life. And in this way, work with our day-to-day life, think about things, and communicate in a way that is open-minded, is a bit free-spirited, and is a bit connected to the kind of higher views of life. Now, once we get to about the Friday time period, the moon will go into Cancer. The moon will be in Cancer Friday and Saturday. That's a good time for creating a bit of a protective environment for ourselves and others. Cancer is about connecting to our more nurturing, caring, protective side. And so personally and interpersonally is really good to do that. It can sometimes manifest as maybe spending a little bit more time at maybe home or with those that we consider family, in this kind of a thing. Then once we get to the Sunday time period, we have the moon shifting into Leo, which will be going into next week. Good time of cultivating our self-expression, the things we find fun in life, and having a bit of that playful and fun energy. And this is getting into the third quarter moon, which will be early next week, which is how can we challenge ourselves to do that Leo self-expression while also still focused on the deeper dimensions with the sun in Scorpio, right? Very different energies, but they can be integrated, both expression and depth and realness and rawness, and in this way can be very constructive. But again, that'll be a little more early the following week. But this going into Sunday here, Mercury will be sextiling up to Saturn. It's very minor, but it's nice to see that if there's anything over the weekend that does involve some of that mental aptitude or is communicative in any capacity, there is a sextile with Saturn. Saturn can help ground this a little bit and maybe even create some slight opportunities for a more productive mind and maybe some of that productive communication as well, but very minor with that sextile to Saturn. The main aspect over the weekend is on Sunday, and it's involving Venus, again, the planet of our values and relationships, in a square up to deep Pluto. So again, we have some of that deeper energy here. And so Pluto, much like that galactic center, helps us become more non-attached to things. And in this case, to what we enjoy in life with Venus, and also our connections with relationships and relating with others in general. So the allowing for the death there, the non-attachment, seeing where we might be giving our power away to external things, external values, or even people are, external us. We don't have control over these external things. And so Pluto can show us where maybe we are giving our power away to these externals, and how we can reclaim our power, because true power is within and it's never really given away unless we give it away. And so Venus, time periods are a good time to connect with our values, but with Pluto in a way that is non-attached and in a way that is really, more free because of it. And so as a result of this, it's a great time for, while being non-attached, feeling more empowered with our enjoyments, more empowered with our relationships. When we're not attached to things, we really free ourselves up and allow for the more true energies of them to come through, right? We're less operating in fear or attachment or, for security or primal reasons, and enjoying things in a way that is to the more closer to the core of what they're really about. So anything constructive about healthy depth, healthy, in relationships, maybe trust and intimacy, in enjoyments of life, again, those deeper values, seeing the depth and the deeper values of things can be a great way of working with this Venus square Pluto. And then as a result, probably noticing less of that going into next week and more of the post-transformation when it comes to those Venusian things there. All right, so a bit of a deeper energy this week, but again, Taurus is helping us ground it all. So Monday, full moon in Taurus, status check on the grounding elements of life, cultivating that inner strength and connecting to the outer abundances of life and the natural values of life is a great way of balancing this deeper energy at the moment. Mercury squared Neptune gives us an opportunity to ground the spiritual or intuitive energies of life constructively, which is great. We got that Mercury passing over the galactic center around Wednesday, Thursday, coming out of that. So maybe feeling more of the freer mind and the more expansive and abstract mind coming out of that. And then over the weekend here, good to practice some of that non-attachment to our enjoyments, values, and relationships. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you haven't yet gotten your True Sidereal Report, there's a link down below for that. There's a free version and a paid version, depending on which one you'd like. But definitely check it out. And I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.